Welcome to my channel HFY Universe. If you love epic sci-fi adventures where humanity proves its strength against impossible odds, you're in the right place. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's HFY story. For over 10,000 years, the Zarvok Empire ruled the Milky Way without challenge. Thousands of alien civilizations bowed before Emperor Kaler, a ruler whose fleets had never lost a single war. Entire star systems surrendered the moment the imperial banners appeared in orbit. Among the stars, one species was treated as little more than a curiosity: humans. Earth was young compared to the ancient galactic civilizations. Humanity had joined the galactic community only 30 years earlier. Their territory was small, their economy modest, and their military insignificant compared to the giant alien empires. Whenever humans attended Galactic Council meetings, many delegates laughed at them. They're emotional. They're primitive. They're too divided. They'll never survive a real galactic war. The humans heard every insult, but they never argued. They quietly kept building. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, inside hidden lunar shipyards, and within asteroid factories scattered across the solar system, human engineers worked in complete secrecy. Officially, Earth possessed only a defensive fleet. Unofficially, something much larger was being prepared. Only a handful of world leaders knew the truth. Humanity wasn't building ships. They were building a future no empire could stop. On the imperial capital world of Zarvok Prime, Emperor Kaler stood before a massive holographic map of the galaxy. Nearly every star glowed in imperial blue. Only one small region remained independent: the Sol system. Kaler smiled. One insignificant species dares remain outside my complete authority. His advisors remained silent. One elderly strategist cautiously stepped forward. Your Majesty, the humans have never attacked anyone. They seek peaceful relations. Kaler narrowed his eyes. Peace is simply the excuse of the weak. The strategist lowered his head. I advise diplomacy. The emperor slammed his fist onto the throne. I demand obedience. Moments later, the greatest fleet in imperial history received its orders. 5,000 warships, 3 Titan-class dreadnoughts, millions of soldiers. Destination: Earth. News spread across the galaxy within hours. The Galactic Council entered emergency session. Delegates whispered nervously. No one survives an imperial invasion. The humans are finished. This war will last only a few days. Even Earth's allies secretly prepared refugee transports. Everyone believed humanity would surrender. Everyone, except humanity. Inside Earth's Unified Defense Command, Admiral Elena Carter watched the incoming reports. The Imperial fleet has crossed the border. No panic filled the command center. No shouting. Only calm professionalism. General Marcus Hale looked toward the enormous tactical display. Permission to activate Protocol Atlas. The room became completely silent. President Sophia Reynolds slowly nodded. Authorize Protocol Atlas. Deep beneath the Himalayas, ancient blast doors opened. Inside a mountain larger than any city, thousands of enormous warships slowly awakened. Artificial suns illuminated hangars that had remained hidden for decades. Automated construction drones completed the final inspections. One by one, the sleeping fleet came alive. Far beyond Earth, Imperial scouts reached the outer solar system. Their commander laughed after scanning human defenses. So this is humanity. Pathetic. Only a handful of visible defense stations appeared around Earth. No massive battle fleet. No overwhelming fortifications. The scout captain transmitted his report. Minimal resistance expected. Emperor Kaler smiled proudly. The galaxy will witness what happens when someone refuses my authority. But hidden far behind the orbit of Neptune, a silent signal traveled across millions of kilometers. Every classified human installation received the same message. Protocol Atlas confirmed. Thousands of hidden reactors powered up simultaneously. Secret shipyards opened. Stealth satellites activated. Orbital rail cannons emerged from asteroid belts. Entire moons transformed into military command centers. The peaceful solar system suddenly became something else entirely. Fortress. As the Imperial Armada approached Mars, its sensors detected thousands of unexpected energy signatures. Then tens of thousands. Hundreds of thousands. The bridge officers froze. "Commander, I'm detecting new vessels." "How many?" The sensor officer stared in disbelief. I can't count them anymore." The stars themselves seemed to move. Dark shapes emerged from behind planets, moons, asteroids, and deep space camouflage fields. An impossible fleet. Silent. Waiting. Ready. For the first time in thousands of years, the mighty Zarvok Empire realized humanity had never been weak. They had simply been preparing.
In the previous chapter, the Zarvok Empire arrived expecting an easy victory. Instead, they discovered that humanity had secretly transformed the solar system into the most heavily defended fortress in the galaxy. Now, the first battle is about to begin. Silence filled the bridge of the Imperial flagship. Thousands of officers stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Only moments earlier, the scanners had shown a nearly defenseless solar system. Now, the display was overflowing with human warships. More and more signals appeared every second. Heavy cruisers, missile carriers, stealth destroyers, Titan-class dreadnoughts larger than anything the Empire had ever recorded. The sensor officer's voice trembled. "Your Majesty, our computers have confirmed the count." Emperor Kaler looked up. "Report. There are over 180,000 human military vessels." The bridge fell completely silent. Even Kaler's face lost its confidence. Impossible. On Earth, Admiral Elena Carter stood before the enormous command screen. Every human fleet was in position. General Marcus Hale smiled. "For 30 years they mocked us." Another officer nodded. "They believed our peaceful nature meant weakness." Admiral Carter folded her hands behind her back. "They're about to learn the difference." She gave a single order. "Open every communication channel." Seconds later, every Imperial ship received the same transmission. A human woman appeared on every screen. She wore a simple dark blue naval uniform. No medals. No decorations. Only the flag of Earth. "My name is Admiral Elena Carter. You have entered sovereign human territory without permission. You have 1 hour to withdraw. If you refuse..." She paused. "You will not leave this system." The transmission ended. Inside the Imperial flagship, angry voices erupted. "How dare they threaten the Empire? They're bluffing. They're trying to scare us." Kaler slowly rose from his throne. "No species has ever forced the Zarvok Empire to retreat." He looked toward his fleet commander. "Destroy their front line." The commander saluted. "At once, Your Majesty." Thousands of Imperial cannons fired together. Brilliant blue plasma streaked across space. The first battle had begun, but something unexpected happened. Instead of striking human ships, every plasma blast disappeared. The explosions never came. The Imperial officers stared in confusion. "What happened?" A scientist quickly checked the sensors. "They've deployed an energy distortion field. Our weapons are being redirected." Before anyone could react, human rail cannons answered. There were no bright explosions, no dramatic beams, only silent flashes of light. Then, Imperial ships began disappearing, one after another. Entire cruisers were punched completely through. Massive battleships split apart. Even the Empire's strongest shields shattered instantly. The bridge crew watched in horror. "Our shields can't stop those projectiles." General Hale smiled calmly. "Newton still wins every war." Human engineers had spent decades perfecting magnetic acceleration technology. Instead of wasting energy on explosive weapons, they simply fired solid tungsten rods at unbelievable speeds. Nothing in the galaxy could survive the impact. The Imperial formation quickly collapsed. Commanders shouted contradictory orders. Retreat.
No.
Advance. Protect the Emperor. Ships crashed into one another as panic spread. Human fleets remained perfectly organized. Every movement had been rehearsed for years. Artificial intelligence coordinated millions of calculations every second. Every shot found its target. Every maneuver trapped another enemy squadron. Meanwhile, hidden inside the asteroid belt, thousands of unmanned human drones activated. The tiny machines raced toward the Imperial fleet. At first, alien commanders laughed. They're sending drones? Then the drones reached their targets. Instead of exploding, they attached themselves to enemy hulls. Within seconds, they disabled engines, sensors, and weapon systems using advanced electromagnetic pulses. Entire Imperial formations became helpless. Human Marines boarded without firing a single shot. On the flagship, Emperor Kaler slammed his fist onto the command console. This cannot be happening. An officer turned toward him with pale skin. Your Majesty, we've already lost 8,000 ships. Another interruption came. 12,000. 17,000. The numbers climbed faster every minute. The Emperor could hardly believe what he was hearing. No enemy had ever inflicted such losses on the Zarvok Empire. Not in 10,000 years. Far away, the Galactic Council watched the battle through live holographic feeds. Every delegate sat speechless. One ambassador whispered, "The humans weren't hiding because they were afraid." Another nodded slowly. They were hiding because they weren't finished preparing. For decades, everyone had mistaken humanity's silence for weakness. Now the truth was impossible to ignore. Admiral Carter watched the battlefield with calm determination. Enemy morale is collapsing. General Hale looked at the tactical map. Their command structure is breaking apart. She nodded. Then it's time. Deploy the Phantom Fleet. Deep beyond Saturn's rings, massive stealth generators powered down. An entirely new fleet emerged from invisibility. These ships had never appeared on any galactic record.
Long.
Black.
Silent.
Equipped with weapons no alien civilization had ever seen. As they accelerated toward the battlefield, even the stars seemed to disappear behind them. Across the Imperial fleet, terrified officers realized one chilling truth. The force they had been fighting was only humanity's first line of defense. The battle for the solar system has changed the galaxy forever. The mighty Zarvok Empire expected a quick victory, but humanity's hidden defenses have shattered their confidence. Now, Earth's greatest secret is about to enter the war. The Phantom Fleet emerged from the shadows of Saturn's rings like ghosts. Its black warships reflected no light. Their engines produced no visible exhaust. Even the Empire's most advanced sensors struggled to lock onto them. Inside the Imperial flagship, alarms echoed across every deck. Unknown vessels detected. They're approaching at impossible speed. Our targeting systems can't maintain a lock. Emperor Kaler gripped the armrests of his throne. What kind of ships are those? No one had an answer. On board the human command ship HMS Vanguard, Admiral Elena Carter watched the Phantom Fleet join the battle. General Marcus Hale smiled. 35 years of classified research. Today, the galaxy finally sees the result. Unlike conventional fleets, every Phantom-class warship operated with an advanced quantum combat network. Each captain could instantly share targeting data, sensor readings, and tactical decisions with every other ship. The fleet fought like a single living organism. Phantom Fleet. Admiral Carter said calmly, "Begin Operation Eclipse." Acknowledged. Within seconds, thousands of black warships vanished. Not by jumping into hyperspace. They simply disappeared. Imperial officers looked around in panic. They vanished from every scanner. Visual contact lost. Where did they go? The answer came only moments later. Human ships reappeared directly inside the Imperial formation. Before alien crews could react. Precision railguns fired. One shot. One kill. Enemy cruisers exploded in every direction. Entire command ships disappeared before they could issue new orders. The Phantom Fleet struck from impossible angles, vanished again, then attacked somewhere else. To the Imperial Navy, it felt as though space itself had turned against them. Kaler stood in disbelief. "They're teleporting." His chief scientist shook his head. "No, Your Majesty. They're using controlled micro-warp jumps. They're bending local space without entering hyperspace." Kaler stared silently. Such technology had been considered impossible.
Until now.
Across the battlefield, human fighter wings launched from hidden carriers. Unlike alien interceptors, human pilots relied on speed, teamwork, and creativity rather than strict formations. Commander Sarah Mitchell led the first attack. "All squadrons, remember your training. No heroics. We fight together." Hundreds of fighters split into dozens of independent groups. Imperial targeting computers became overwhelmed. Every time they tracked one fighter, 3 others attacked from another direction. Missiles struck engines. Rail cannons destroyed shield generators. Electronic warfare drones blinded enemy sensors. Within minutes, several Imperial carrier groups had been completely neutralized. Meanwhile, far beneath Earth's surface, a sealed chamber opened for the first time in 20 years. Scientists stood silently as a massive machine slowly powered up. It stretched nearly 2 kilometers across. Countless rings rotated around an intense sphere of blue energy. General Hale entered the chamber. "Status." The chief scientist answered quietly. "The Aegis array is fully operational. And if we activate it?" The scientist hesitated. "The Empire will never reach Earth." Back in orbit, the Zarvok fleet had lost nearly a third of its ships. Panic spread from one formation to another. Captains ignored orders. Some attempted to flee. Others surrendered. Several commanders disabled their own weapons rather than continue fighting. The invincible empire was falling apart. Emperor Kaler refused to accept defeat. He activated a secure communication channel. "Prepare the Oblivion Cannon." The bridge officers froze. "Your Majesty, that weapon is forbidden. It could destroy an entire planet." Kaler's expression remained cold. "If humanity refuses to kneel, then Earth will cease to exist." The order was transmitted. Deep inside the Empire's largest dreadnought, ancient machinery began awakening. A weapon that had ended civilizations before humanity had ever reached space. Human intelligence detected the energy surge almost immediately. Warning lights flashed across every command center. An officer looked toward Admiral Carter. "Enemy superweapon charging. Estimated firing time: 9 minutes. Silence filled the bridge. Everyone understood what was at stake. General Hale finally spoke. "So, they're willing to burn an entire world." Admiral Carter nodded once. "Then we stop pretending." She pressed a secure authorization key. "Activate the Aegis array." Across the solar system, thousands of hidden satellites came online. The moon opened enormous armored doors. Mars revealed gigantic underground power stations. Asteroids unfolded into massive energy relays. Streams of blue light connected every human installation into one enormous network. Even alien observers watching from distant systems gasped. The entire solar system had become a single defensive machine. For decades, humanity hadn't been building a fleet. They had been turning their entire star system into the strongest fortress the galaxy had ever seen. And the Emperor had flown directly into its heart. Emperor Kaler ordered the activation of the forbidden Oblivion Cannon, a weapon capable of destroying an entire planet. In response, humanity revealed the Aegis array, transforming the entire solar system into one colossal defensive fortress. Now, the fate of Earth hangs in the balance. Inside the Zarvok flagship, every officer stood silently. The bridge lights dimmed as enormous amounts of energy were diverted to the Oblivion Cannon. Deep within the Imperial dreadnought, reactors pushed beyond their safety limits. Warning alarms echoed through every deck. A nervous engineer swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, the cannon has reached 80% charge." Emperor Kaler never looked away from the holographic image of Earth. "It ends today." Across the solar system, thousands of human defense satellites aligned with mathematical precision. The Aegis array linked every military installation, from Mercury to the distant orbit of Neptune, into a single network. Blue streams of energy flowed between planets, like rivers of light. Power stations buried beneath the moon roared to life. Fusion reactors on Mars reached maximum output. Even mining colonies in the asteroid belt redirected their energy into the array. Earth itself became the heart of the system. Aboard the HMS Vanguard, Admiral Elena Carter watched the tactical display. General Marcus Hale folded his arms. Their weapon will fire in less than 5 minutes. An officer asked quietly, "Do we intercept?" Admiral Carter shook her head.
No.
"We let them fire." The bridge crew stared at her in disbelief. She continued calmly. "Today, the galaxy must witness exactly why no one will ever threaten Earth again." Far away, the Galactic Council broadcast the battle live across thousands of worlds. Billions of citizens watched in complete silence. Some prayed for humanity. Others expected Earth's destruction. No one truly knew what would happen next. Oblivion cannon fully charged, the Imperial weapons officer raised his hand. "Awaiting your command." Kaler smiled for the first time since the battle had begun. Fire. A blinding beam of crimson energy erupted from the massive dreadnought. It tore through space with enough power to split a planet apart. Every sensor in the solar system screamed warnings. The beam raced toward Earth. On countless worlds, spectators closed their eyes. This was the end. Then, the Aegis array activated. A brilliant blue shield expanded around Earth. It wasn't the normal energy barrier. Millions of satellites projected overlapping gravitational fields, bending space itself. The crimson beam struck the shield and vanished, not weakened, not slowed, simply redirected. The impossible happened. The beam curved away from Earth, arcing harmlessly into empty space before disappearing into the darkness between the stars. For several seconds, no one spoke. The entire galaxy watched in stunned silence. Inside the Imperial flagship, chaos erupted. Our weapon failed. Impossible. The beam never reached the planet. Scientists frantically checked every system. The humans didn't block the attack. They changed the path of space itself. Even the Empire's greatest physicists had believed such technology was impossible. Humanity had made it reality. Emperor Kaler's face turned pale. For the first time in his reign, he felt fear. Admiral Carter gave her next command. Phase 2. Immediately, thousands of human warships accelerated. The Phantom fleet struck from every direction. Railgun rounds tore through Imperial formations. Missile swarms overwhelmed defense grids. Stealth bombers disabled command vessels with pinpoint accuracy. Within minutes, the Empire's battle lines collapsed completely. Entire fleets surrendered rather than face annihilation. Commander Sarah Mitchell led her fighter wing through the debris field. Target the engines. Leave escape pods untouched. Human pilots disabled ships instead of destroying them whenever possible. General Hale noticed. They're showing mercy. Admiral Carter nodded. We're not fighting for revenge. We're fighting so no one ever starts this war again. A terrified Imperial captain opened an emergency communication channel. Human command. We surrender. One by one, more channels opened. Entire squadrons powered down their weapons. The once invincible Zarvok Navy was surrendering across the battlefield. Only one ship continued fighting. The Emperor's flagship. Kaler refused to retreat. If the Empire falls, it falls with me. He ordered every remaining weapon to fire. The flagship unleashed everything it had. Plasma cannons, missile batteries, particle lances. Human defenses intercepted every attack. The flagship stood alone, surrounded, outnumbered, outmatched. Admiral Carter opened a direct communication. The Emperor appeared on her screen. His once proud expression had become one of exhaustion. She spoke calmly. Emperor Kaler, the battle is over. Surrender your fleet. You will be treated with dignity. Kaler stared at her for a long moment. Then he asked the question that had haunted him since the battle began. Why? Why hide your strength for so many years? Admiral Carter answered without hesitation. Because power exists to protect peace, not to force obedience. Those words echoed through every ship in the battlefield. Even Zarvok officers lowered their heads. For the first time, they understood the difference between ruling through fear and leading through honor. Kaler slowly closed his eyes. Then, with trembling hands, he gave the order no Zarvok emperor had ever spoken. Stand down. Across the battlefield, the last Imperial weapons powered off. The war was over. But the greatest challenge for humanity was only beginning. The war is over. The Zarvok Empire has been forced to stand down after humanity revealed the true scale of its power. But victory in battle does not always mean peace in the galaxy. Silence spread across the battlefield. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a Zarvok Imperial fleet had fully surrendered. Thousands of warships powered down their weapons. Engines dimmed. Command codes were transmitted to human authorities. Inside the Imperial flagship, Emperor Kaler stood motionless. His empire, built over 10,000 years, had collapsed in a single engagement. Not destroyed, not erased, but broken. On Earth, the unified command center remained alert. Admiral Elena Carter watched every surrender signal carefully. General Marcus Hale spoke quietly. They're complying. An intelligence officer frowned. All fleets are transmitting surrender codes. Another added. No signs of resistance. Admiral Carter didn't relax. Maintain full alert status. This war isn't finished until every ship is accounted for. Across the solar system, human boarding teams moved with precision. Dropships approached disabled Zarvok cruisers. Instead of weapons, they carried containment units and engineering crews. Commander Sarah Mitchell led the first boarding operation. Remember, no unnecessary force. We secure, not destroy. Her team entered the first enemy vessel. Inside, alien soldiers stood frozen. Not in defiance, but in disbelief. A human boarding officer lowered his weapon. Power down your systems. You're safe. For a moment, no one moved. Then slowly, alien soldiers complied. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, Emperor Kaler was brought aboard a human diplomatic vessel. No chains. No restraints. Only guards standing at a respectful distance. He looked around the clean, quiet interior of the ship. It was nothing like Zarvok war vessels. There was no intimidation. No displays of dominance. Only order. Admiral Carter entered the chamber. Kaler turned toward her. You could have destroyed us completely, she replied simply. We could have. A long silence followed. Kaler finally asked, why spare an enemy that tried to erase your world? Marcus Hale answered instead. Because we don't fear your empire anymore. And fear is the reason most wars begin. Kaler studied them carefully. You risk leaving a wounded empire alive. Carter nodded. Yes. Because wounded does not mean destroyed. It means it can choose a different path. Far beyond human territory, the rest of the galaxy watched closely. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Representatives spoke in hushed tones. If the Zarvok Empire falls, a power vacuum will form. Every minor species will attempt expansion. One council member looked at the projections. But humanity is now the strongest force in known space. Another whispered, and they chose mercy. Back on the human vessel, Kaler stood at a viewport, staring at Earth in the distance. The blue planet looked peaceful, fragile, yet it had just defeated the greatest empire in the galaxy. Admiral Carter joined him. You asked why we hid our strength. He didn't look at her. I understand now. You were never preparing for conquest. You were preparing for survival. She nodded. And restraint. Kaler exhaled slowly. My empire will not accept this easily. Carter replied. Then help us prevent what comes next. He finally turned toward her. Why would I help you? Marcus Hale stepped forward. Because you know the galaxy better than anyone now. If your empire collapses into chaos, everyone dies in the fire that follows. Kaler said nothing for a long time. Then, quietly. Then I will speak for the Zarvok Empire. Across the battlefield remnants, Humanity began rescue operations. Disabled ships were repaired. Wounded soldiers were treated. Food and medical aid were distributed to prisoners of war. The same enemies who had come to annihilate Earth were now being saved by it. Days later, a joint transmission was broadcast to the galaxy. Humanity stood beside Emperor Kaler. Admiral Carter spoke first. The war is over. But peace is not automatic. It must be built. Kaler added, the Zarvok Empire has been defeated, but it does not have to be destroyed. We were wrong. And we will not repeat that mistake. Across thousands of systems, the message spread. Some worlds rejected it. Others accepted cautiously. But one truth became undeniable. The galaxy had a new power at its center. Not an empire of conquest, but a civilization that had already proven it could end all others, and chose not to. Admiral Carter looked at Kaler after the broadcast ended. This is where it really begins. He nodded. The war was simple. Peace will be far harder. And somewhere in the quiet darkness of space, something ancient watched the aftermath of the battle, waiting, observing, measuring, and for the first time, taking humanity seriously. The war with the Zarvok Empire has ended, but the galaxy is far from stable. Humanity has chosen mercy over annihilation, but not everyone is ready to accept a new power at the center of the stars. 3 days after the ceasefire, the solar system remained under full military alert. Human fleets had not returned to dock. The Phantom Fleet still patrolled deep space corridors. And the Aegis Array remained fully active, its planetary-scale systems humming quietly beneath moons, planets, and orbital platforms. Admiral Elena Carter stood in the command center, watching the latest intelligence reports. General Marcus Hale entered quietly. They're reorganizing. Carter didn't look away from the display. The Zarvok remnants? He nodded. Not just them. A pause. Smaller empires are mobilizing too. Across the galaxy, the fall of the Zarvok Empire had created shockwaves no one could ignore. For 10,000 years, they had been the dominant force. Now, they were broken. And in their place, a new question spread through every council chamber and war room. If humanity defeated them, what else can humans do? On Zarvok Prime, the capital world was no longer ruled by absolute imperial decree. Regional governors argued openly for the first time in centuries. Military commanders refused conflicting orders. The empire was fracturing. Emperor Kaler stood inside the old throne chamber, now dim and quiet. No ceremonies. No praise. Only silence. A human diplomatic envoy arrived under strict escort. Kaler met them without ceremony. Admiral Carter's hologram appeared beside the envoy. We're detecting fleet movements beyond Zarvok borders. Kaler responded immediately. They are testing you. Hale narrowed his eyes. Who? Kaler hesitated. The ones who never accepted my rule. Empires older and far less merciful. A new name appeared on the tactical display. The Obsidian Concord. Human intelligence files updated instantly. Unknown origin. Unknown technology level. Estimated scale. Uncertain of possibly larger than Zarvok at its peak. Admiral Carter frowned. We defeated one empire. Hale added. And now the others are waking up. Suddenly, every long-range sensor in the solar system triggered at once. Warning sirens echoed across human installations. An officer shouted. Multiple jump signatures detected at extreme range. Another voice followed. They're not Zarvok ships. The screen filled with unknown symbols. Then translation algorithms locked in. A transmission arrived. A new voice spoke through every channel.
Cold.
Measured. Inhumanly calm. Humanity of Sol System, you are not recognized as a sovereign galactic authority. Your rapid rise violates equilibrium protocols. You will submit for evaluation or be removed. Silence fell across every human command center. General Hale exhaled slowly. So that's it. Carter nodded once. The galaxy noticed us. Kaler's expression tightened. I warned you. Carter turned toward him. Is this them? He answered quietly. Worse. Far beyond known space. The Obsidian Concorde fleet emerged from slipspace. There were no visible formations, no identifiable capital ships, only geometric structures drifting through darkness like artificial constellations. They did not resemble a navy. They resembled a system, a machine built for enforcement rather than war. Human sensors struggled to lock onto them. Electronic warfare systems failed to classify their signals. Even the Aegis array produced unstable readings. An engineer whispered, "They're not reacting like a fleet. They're reacting like a law." Admiral Carter activated emergency protocols. Raise full fleet readiness. Phantom fleet standby. Aegis array at combat threshold. Then she paused. This is not Zarvok doctrine. Hale nodded grimly. Different civilization. Different rules. The Obsidian Concorde transmitted again. Final warning. Disarm planetary defense systems. Dismantle unauthorized military expansion. Humanity will be reassigned within the galactic order. Kaler stepped forward. You don't understand what you're dealing with. The signal paused briefly, then responded. Zarvok anomaly detected. Entity Kaler, compromised authority. Humanity, escalating deviation confirmed. The words were not threats. They were classifications, evaluations, like a system diagnosing an error. Admiral Carter's eyes hardened. They don't see us as a nation. Hale finished the thought. They see us as a malfunction. Across the solar system, the Phantom fleet activated silently. Hidden ships awakened from gravitational shadows. Deep space weapons arrays unfolded. The Aegis network began shifting configuration for the first time since activation. Earth's defenses were no longer pointing outward. They were recalibrating for something unfamiliar. Kaler turned to Carter. "This is what I feared," she asked. "Can we talk to them?" He shook his head slowly. "They don't negotiate. They correct." The Obsidian Concorde began advancing. Slow.
Certain.
Inevitable. And for the first time since humanity revealed itself, the galaxy was no longer reacting to Earth's rise. It was responding. Admiral Carter gave the final order. All fleets prepare for contact. General Hale looked at the holographic map. So this is the real test. Carter replied quietly. No. This is the warning that there were always bigger things than empires. After defeating the Zarvok Empire and forcing a fragile peace across the galaxy, humanity has now drawn the attention of something far more dangerous, the Obsidian Concorde, a civilization that does not see nations or empires, only compliance or correction. The solar system was silent. Not peaceful, silent like a loaded weapon waiting for impact. Every human defense platform had shifted into full combat configuration. The Aegis array pulsed across planets, like a living circuit. The Phantom fleet drifted invisibly beyond detection range. And deep beneath Earth's crust, the oldest classified systems of humanity's military network finally came online together for the first time in history. Admiral Elena Carter stood at the center of it all, her eyes fixed on the incoming projection. The Obsidian Concorde was no longer distant. They were entering engagement space. General Marcus Hale broke the silence. They're not slowing down. An officer reported urgently. All diplomatic channels ignored. Another added, their formation is restructuring our sensor grid as they approach. Carter narrowed her eyes. They're rewriting our battlefield before it even begins. Across the system, alien ships appeared in local space. Not by explosion. Not by warp flash. They simply resolved into existence like reality adjusting itself. Massive geometric structures hovered between planets. They didn't aim weapons. They didn't form attack lines. They simply existed in a pattern that felt mathematically unavoidable. A new transmission arrived. Not audio. Not visual. A direct neural interface signal. It bypassed human encryption layers entirely. Humanity of Soul System. Final compliance window expired. Initiating correction. Suddenly, Mars went dark. Not destroyed. Not bombarded.
Just shut down.
Every orbital system froze. Every relay stopped transmitting. An entire planetary defense grid went silent in less than a second. Panic spread across command stations. Satellites offline. Communication loss on Mars base. They didn't attack it, they deactivated it. General Hale looked up sharply. They're not fighting our defenses. They're turning them off. Emperor Kaler stepped forward, voice tense. This is what they do. They don't conquer. They erase your ability to resist. Carter turned to him. And how do you fight something like that? Kaler answered quietly. You don't fight them with strength. You fight them with unpredictability. Admiral Carter gave a sharp order. Phantom Fleet, engage non-pattern assault.
A pause.
Then confirmation. Acknowledged. Space itself broke formation. Human phantom ships didn't charge in straight lines. They didn't follow predictable vector paths. They attacked from angles that should not have existed in stable physics. For the first time, the Obsidian Concorde sensor network showed instability. A Concorde vessel transmitted internally. Deviation detected. Human units, non-compliant movement pattern. Probability error increasing. Human railguns fired. Not in volleys, but in carefully randomized bursts designed to disrupt prediction algorithms. Entire Concorde formations began to hesitate. For the first time, their system was uncertain. General Hale realized it instantly. They rely on prediction. Carter nodded. Then we remove predictability. Across the battlefield, the Aegis array shifted from passive defense to active interference. Gravity fields fluctuated. Sensor feedback loops distorted. Navigation references became unreliable. The solar system itself was becoming a denial zone for mathematical certainty. But the Obsidian Concorde adapted.
Slowly. Coldly.
Impressively. Their formations began recalculating. Systems evolved in real time. And then, they responded. A single Concorde structure moved forward. No weapons fired. No energy burst. Just movement. And as it moved, every human defense system in its path began shutting down sequentially. One by one, like dominoes falling in perfect order. Admiral Carter whispered, "They're learning faster than we are adapting." Hale replied, "Then we stop trying to match them." He looked at her. "We escalate. Deep beneath Earth, a long-sealed system activated. A protocol that had never been included in any public military briefing." Even Kaler took a step back. "What is that?" Carter's voice was steady. "The reason Earth never needed to fear invasion." Far beyond Mars' orbit, the Phantom Fleet suddenly stopped moving. Not because it was destroyed, but because every ship simultaneously received a new command. All human forces aligned. For the first time in history, every military system on Earth and beyond synchronized into a single directive. Admiral Carter spoke one final time. "All fleets. Execute protocol. Genesis Wall." Space around the solar system changed. Not explosively, not visibly at first, but fundamentally. A boundary formed, not a shield, not a field, a limit on what could exist inside human space. The Concorde vessel slowed. Their systems began to fail in sequence. Not destroyed, not attacked, simply unable to proceed further. The Obsidian Concorde transmitted one final message. Unexpected resistance, threshold exceeded. Reclassification required. Humanity status, unknown factor. For the first time since the war began, they were uncertain. Emperor Kaler looked at Earth in silence. "You didn't win by strength alone." Carter replied softly.
No.
"We won because we refused to be predictable." The Concorde fleet began to withdraw. Not in defeat, but in recalculation, in reassessment, in fear disguised as logic. Days later, the galaxy received a new broadcast. Not from Earth, not from Zarvok, but from an unknown neutral relay. Humanity of Sol system has been classified as an unbounded variable. Engagement protocols suspended. Further observation required. Peace did not arrive, but war paused. And in the silence that followed, the galaxy finally understood something new. Humanity was not just another empire, not just another civilization. They were something the universe had not accounted for. A species that could not be fully predicted or controlled. On Earth, Admiral Carter finally stood down from the command console. General Hale looked at her. "So what now?" She looked at the stars. "We prepare." because now they know we exist. And far beyond the edge of known space, older things than the obsidian Concord began to move, watching, measuring, waiting. The end.